and project and portfolio management and cloud productivity. So we take your Microsoft 365 solutions and we extend the capabilities and make sure you have a one connected platform to do all of your work management and PMO activities. We also do a lot on Just Planner because it's so new and things are changing all the time. So we like to do these educational webinars to or the latest technology from Microsoft and how to use them. And with that, I'm going to give it to Allison so she has as much time as possible to get us through the good stuff.
Thank you, Erin. So yes, so we have about 30 minutes, quite a bit to talk about. Again, our focus today is on basically collaborating with the combination of Microsoft Teams and Planner. So I'm sure that we can agree many project teams, they struggle. And it's not because of a lack of tools, but because the information, right, it's spread out across multiple locations, different systems, conversations are happening in emails, files are stored in different locations, tasking lives in yet another system. And so, right, so we have these silos, it reduces visibility and it can make it difficult to keep work moving forward, right? So again, what the common struggles are, cohesion, alignment, awareness, and efficiency. So by using Microsoft Teams and Planner, bringing them together, we can now have conversation, files, and task management in a single connected workspace, breaking down those barriers, improving visibility. So let's just talk about this. So kind of what we think of Microsoft Teams as that single workspace. And because of Teams functionality, we now have basically a collaboration hub, right? We can have conversations, we can share files, and we can facilitate meetings. And then we can integrate with that, and I'll show you how that's done. We can integrate Planner. And that is then our task management layer. And we can plan tasks, we can designate ownership, and then we have a means of tracking progress. And then within the context of that team channel, we can add additional tools that our team uses. And I'm going to take that opportunity to just introduce you to Marquee 360's enterprise project management solution called PPM 360 to show you, well, our tool, but also how that too can be added to a Microsoft team channel. Okay, so this is always a little tricky to demonstrate Teams while I'm in Teams, but I think I got this covered. So this is Microsoft Teams, and I did create a team for this particular event, just called this Planner Power Up Demo. And if you've never seen Teams before, you have a place where you can have threaded discussions. Again, the place where you can share files. It also comes with a OneNote notebook. But in order to get Planner to be a part of this, right, we want to establish basically a task schedule for this particular group. I'm going to just simply click on this tab, go to Apps, find the Planner app. If it wasn't here, you could hit See All, but we'll hit Planner. And then we're going to agree to, yes, please save, the Planner in Teams app to this, what we call a channel. We'll talk more about the way you structure things in a moment. At this point, next step I would take is, yes, I want to create a plan for my group. Depending on the type of licensing you have, you can create either a basic plan or a premium plan. I'll go ahead and select premium. They have all sorts of templates. No, I'll just pick one that has some things in there to get us up and running. So you say, yes, you want to create your plan. You give it a name, planner. I'll just call it P Power Project Plan. Well, project. Let's do that. And then we'll go ahead and add that. Voila. And so now you have this workspace where you can move between your posts and your shared files and your project schedule just right here within inside the context of Microsoft Teams. All right. So you keep hearing me use the word channel. I don't know how many of you have used these tools before, but if we're going to bring our project team together, we'd like to create some structure for them. So the first idea is within the Microsoft team itself, do you have a need to break that out any further? So often I get asked, well, hey, like, should I have a team for my project? Should I have a team for my whole department? It really depends. I would advocate for if you have a project that is a pretty decent in size, not really like a small team initiative, I would create a team for my project. If I have a small department, or maybe I'll pick on Erin, maybe I have a marketing department, and maybe for each initiative we're going to work throughout the year, maybe I create a channel for each marketing campaign. So that's when I talk about channels, it's a way to break things out by project, by work stream, maybe even department, so that things, one, they can be organized, but also they can be restricted. So I'll show you an example in a second where I'm going to add a channel to our team that's specifically about finances. Maybe I don't need the whole project team to see that, so I'll demonstrate that for you. Then within the plan itself, again, I get asked, should I just have one big plan for all my projects or a plan per project? So there you can see my advice is if you have a major initiative, that should be its own plan. If you have a team, again, maybe it's a marketing department, and maybe you just have, small subtasks. Erin would probably say none of her work is minuscule, but let's say, maybe she's supposed to make sure that she does a post in LinkedIn, a post in Facebook. And so she keeps those as tasks with just some subtasks under that. When we then get into the meat of the plan, there are additional features that you can use to further organize and characterize the work. In a plan, you can organize work by priority. That's a built-in planner field. You can organize work by buckets. Buckets are totally customizable, so they can be whatever you wish. Maybe you want to have buckets so that you could classify tasks as far as what type of deliverable are they? Is this task client facing? Is this task more administrative? So we could have a bucket called administrative. We could have a bucket called client facing. And then there's another element we can work with that's customizable. Again, labels. Labels, I like to use them to kind of reflect the status of a task. Is the task at risk? Is the task blocked? Is the task waiting on my customer? Is the task something that needs to be reviewed? So let's just quickly work through some of that. So let me get back into my team. Okay, so first of all, I said I was going to share with you, how you might want to break your team out into channels. So let me try and get into this team. And right now, every team at least has one channel, one place where you can, store your stuff and integrate your different tools. But it is certainly possible to add another channel. So my example to you is, hey, we have this default channel. It's for the whole project team. That's where we're going to go to actually get the work done. But I want to add a separate channel about finances. And know it, I want that one to be private, meaning that I'm going to only allow certain members of the project team to be able to get into this channel. And then at that point, you'll say, okay, of your group, who do you want to have, access to this? Right now, my channel, it's just me and Erin. But if there were other people that get added later, they would not have access to this finances channel unless I specifically gave them that. So let's jump back into the default channel, my delivery channel, and talk about the plan itself. So I did create a single plan. If I added more plans, they're automatically going to be shared with the same group of people. If I want that plan to be shared with a separate group of people, that's when, in that case, I would probably think about standing up a separate team for them. But let's go into the project and talk about some of those features I mentioned. So again, default, if you're not familiar with Planner, and again, this is a premium plan, basically has many, many fields. If this was basic, you would have much less to define when it comes to tasks. But regardless, whether it's a premium plan or a basic plan, you always have the ability to, characterize your tasks as give them their priority. And maybe the easiest way for me to do that is I'm going to go over here and say I'd like to see that priority column. I'm going to move it over here, and then I can quickly, adjust the priorities of things. And why that's beneficial is because we have all sorts of different views of this schedule. So I could certainly come into my filters and say, hey, I'm just really interested in what's important. And then also when we're looking at board views, I can also quickly group things by priority. So that's why it's great to use that particular feature. Another feature is the ability to group by bucket. Now, I used a template when I created this plan, so there were some buckets already predefined, and you can see with this, this is basically following some sort of project management governance, right? And as I'm working on task, what is specific to initiating my project, what is specific to planning my project, what is specific to executing my project. These can be anything you want. I could very easily come over here and relabel this. I could certainly add different buckets. I could get rid of all, put everything in, one bucket and start from scratch. Erin and I were recently at an event, and what a lot of people didn't know, so some of you may work for an organization or have a particular project where you're going to manage it using more of an agile framework. Let's specifically call out Scrum. One built-in predefined grouping of buckets is this sprint view. And you can see all of the tasks are put into a backlog. We get a sprint by default. We can certainly move tasks. Usually we'll figure out, okay, what are we going to focus on in this sprint? And then once the sprint is done, we can go ahead and add our next sprint. So that was something that Erin and I found out some people weren't aware of. But again, using buckets is a great way to then help provide structure to your plan. Another feature that I called out when we were going through other ways to provide some structure were labels. So when you are looking at your task, you'll see up here you can add a label, and by default they're just a bunch of color-coded labels, but we can edit this to mean something. I could do pink is going to be at risk. I'll have red is going to be blocked. Maybe I'll have blue is pending review. So very quickly, I can create labels for use by my team. Again, I can always surface that in this grid view so that it's very easy for me to quickly go through and kind of characterize some things. We'll say this one's blocked. Let's say this is at risk. Right? And again, we can then filter based on our labels. And when we are looking at the board, we can do the same thing. Okay, so just another, these are just a few little tips and tricks as far as getting organized when it comes to your project. If anyone has any questions, feel free to speak up, raise your hand, drop something in chat. I may not see it, so certainly Erin will call things out if anyone does have a question. I'm just trying to make sure we get through everything I was hoping to share with you. So again, teams, right? The whole reason we have teams is because it strengthens communication and collaboration. So let's talk about ways that we can do that. So often when I tell people, hey, you know what, you could use Teams to limit your use of email, they think, well, then how am I going to communicate with others? What's going on that I need someone to do something specific. So first of all, posts, my recommendation is to use posts to, communicate things that the team may need to reference at a later time, or kind of it's broad. It's not really task specific. Maybe it's about, the overall project. And when I post something, if I really want to make sure that this team is aware, I can always use an at mention. I can at mention my name of my channel, and that will make sure that everyone here gets a notification that I have said something important. And what's nice about this is, later on, if others join our team, I don't have to remember to send them an email about we learned this or we were requested that. People can come into the team and they will automatically have the historical conversations that we've had. Now, if I have something that is more task specific, I can go into my project. I can actually go into my task, and down here, you'll see task conversation. So I can say, regarding this strategy development, and if I want to call something out, like I need Erin to really, give me an update on this, I can mention her name as well. Erin, sometimes you have to be a little bit more specific. Hopefully I hit save, or I can spell your name, Erin. Come on. I do not know why I'm struggling with that today, but normally we can go ahead and mention that individual, and they will get both a notification in Teams as well as an email notification that they've been asked to, take some sort of action or provide some sort of follow-up. For right now, I'll just leave this. Yes.
I have a question and it's for me, but also might help other people too. Do I have to be assigned to the task
You do
to
not.
be in the conversation? Okay.
All right.
Just in the group, it should work.
Yes. So I've added that conversation, and there it is. And I'll show you all the different places we're going to see that. So first of all, if I could get my task to close, hold on. So first of all, I can see here that there's a task conversation, but I don't want my team to necessarily have to dig through all the tasks to find that. So what's nice is it actually gets surfaced within the post itself. I would encourage you, if then someone wanted to respond to this, don't start a separate post, just go ahead and reply right in the thread. So there, I've responded there, but what's nice is if I go back to the project view and go into that task conversation, I'm going to see it here as well, right? We have many different windows into the same information. So again, if we're doing things in the context of this plan, in the context of this team, I don't need to worry about finding things in email, forwarding them to the group, making sure I copied everyone. So I would encourage you, to use that. The other element that's going to support your collaboration is the sharing of files. There are many different ways that we can bring a file in, certainly within posts. If we were to add something here, you'll notice that when I elect to attach the file, it's going to give me an option to actually browse the team already, or I could upload from my device. I'm going to go ahead and just grab something real quick. This was something that was local. I'm going to go ahead and post that. And where it puts it is in my shared documents. There it is. Another way, let's say a task, I have some very specific requirements related to that task. Same thing. I can go into my grid or my task view. I can open my task. And if I scroll back down to here, I could add an attachment here. In this case, again, I could just link it to that existing document, or I could bring something else into the team, right? So again, people come in, they're going to have access to all the documents we're using. They're going to see why those documents are important. And then they're also going to be able to see which tasks are associated with those. Okay. As I mentioned, in addition to using kind of the out-of-the-box tools that we're familiar with, adding Planner as we did. If you have a, let's say, already established SharePoint library that you find would be valuable to the team, you can do that as well. Let me just show you that. So just as I had added the Planner tab, when you go to add a tab and look at apps, you'll see there's a number of Microsoft apps that you can add, as well as other third-party apps where they have already pre-built this possible integration. I've heard a lot of teams that, again, if they're more agile in nature, maybe they're using Jira. Sometimes they'll add the Jira tab here because, maybe the project managers, they're doing their own thing, but then the developers themselves are using other tools. Again, if you, let's say, already have a particular document library that has other resources that are valuable to the team, you can build out this ribbon up here. But this is where I'm going to take a moment to introduce you to Marquis' project management or enterprise project management solution called PPM 360. So what we have so far with Teams, right, is a place to collaborate. We can communicate, we can share files. Planner, that's bringing us in the element of scheduling. But there's a lot that Planner doesn't do. Perhaps your organization needs a way to, basically vet ideas for projects. So maybe you'd like some way of initiating projects. Marquis Solution provides that. You heard me say, well, I could create buckets to kind of control, the flow of the project. But that has to be done on a project by project by project basis when you're using Planner. If you, as a department or an organization, has a standard process that you would like everyone to kind of use to govern their project, we have a means of creating that as a standard, as well as tracking other things like risks, issues, changes, decisions. Those are not things that you see in Planner. Usually when I do a Planner demo, I get asked a lot, well, how can I see if this person can even do this task? Like, are they doing other work? We can't see that with Planner, but with PPM 360, we have a more robust resource management solution. And then this all ties into very comprehensive reporting. So let me just show you what that looks like, because again, it's that same concept of bringing us all into teams. So let me switch again. Let's do it this way. So this is PPM 360, a browser-based, we call it a model-driven app. we've been talking about project plans. So I'm going to come in here. You will see, though, over here on the left-hand nav bar, we can actually organize our projects into portfolios and programs, something we can't do very well in Planner, right? We can't really see all of our projects on a timeline and have their financials roll up. And then we also have that resource management hub. But I wanted to specifically call out. So what I did before this presentation, I did create a project in PPM 360. And here are all those things I just kind of rattled off before, right? A place to capture, critical components of our project charter, a place to generate status reports, a place to manage my team and plan their engagement. But this tab right here, tasks, happens to be planner. As Erin mentioned during her introduction, we integrate with these tools. So you'll see up here, I actually have a Microsoft team that is associated with this project that I created in PPM 360. So let me see if I can't get that to open. And you're going to see a lot of the same, a place for conversations, a place for us to share our files. There's the notes. Here's our planner, right? Our plan. That's the one that I'm managing with PPM 360. And then, so I don't have to jump back to that browser view, I actually can get to the PPM 360 app within the context of this team because it was added as one of those extra tabs. So now my project manager, my project staff, we can all stay in this single workspace to kind of manage, communicate, collaborate, and get the job done. So just wanted to recap that, today's takeaway. I encourage you, start small, stand up a Microsoft team channel, start with a basic plan, give yourself some tasks, give others tasks, start to use the posts and the at mentions and the task conversations to centralize that communication, and then add other resources. If you're interested in, hey, what was that PPM 360 thing? We'd be happy to set up a demo. Other services that we offer include planner training, Teams training. So if you have a need for that, please reach out. You can visit our website. We have a contact form there, or you can certainly just send an email to info@marquee360.com, and we'd be happy to talk through whatever needs you may have.